I think we are live. Sorry. Oh, I guess I wasn't technically late. We got a quick live streaming is not available right now notification. So, okay, I think we're good. What? I was just my fiddly fig. I'm learning how to take care of. He's new for me, and for some reason I decided 1 minute before the live stream started that's what I needed to deal with right now. So anyway, I make good choices. So today we are working in colored pencil. We're going to be drawing these cherries. The reference photo is over at Patreon. You don't have to be a member. You could just head over there and pick that up if you haven't already. Pretty basic little design. This will be a fun one. Definitely good for beginners or somebody who just wants to get a quick project done. So with, sorry, coughing apparently today. With this one, we are going to be using a lot of different reds and oranges, and it looks like some plum colors. There's a lot in there. Now, one of the things that you may want to jump to when you're working with red is a little bit of a challenge, like red roses, red anything. People think in general terms of highlights are always with white. And while that's not true normally anyway, when it comes to red, it's more obvious that was not the right choice because it turns everything pink. We don't want pink. So that's kind of your challenge throughout. We have a few areas that should be pink, but not many. So you've got to watch that when you're doing highlights on red subjects, is that you're not just jumping to, my highlight is white. Same thing on, let's say you're drawing something with like an animal with black fur or a person with black hair. You often think, okay, the highlight's white. White is what you highlight things with. But then the fur or hair, depending on the subject, comes out looking foggy or not foggy, like dirty, dusty, or old. You just gave them a lot of gray hair. If they didn't have gray hair, probably they're not going to appreciate that. So white is not the color we always want to jump to add our highlights. And like I said, when it comes to red, this is especially noticeable. While you can get away with it more with other colors, with red, not so much. Okay. Hi, Krishna. Yeah, I think I said that right. Let's see. Okay. Angel said, is it okay to include my commissioned pieces on my portfolio? A friend told me that a gallery reviewers give more chance to those who make original sort of themed collection pieces. I don't really show in galleries or display in galleries anymore, so I can't tell you what the galleries are always looking for. But yeah, I mean, commissioned pieces, they do want things that are original. Now, you may want to show them a commissioned piece if it shows off or highlights what you're capable of, but if it was a commissioned piece, it's not like the gallery can show that. So, you know, pros and cons there. But yeah, I mean, just be aware of the fact that they're probably looking for something original. Your friend, I think, is right. I might show them a portrait that I've done to say, look, this is what I can do, but that's not going to be the main thing that I show them. I might put one of those in there, but the rest of it is going to be more original content that, you know, the type of thing they would be selling in their gallery. They're not going to be selling my commissions in their gallery. They're not going to be selling my portraits in their gallery. People don't typically want to buy a portrait of somebody else. So, you know, keep that in mind. Just getting my pencils nice and sharp here. Today I am using, which one is this one? I think this one has no label. This one is similar to the Coom sharpener. It is definitely not one of those because those ones are marked, but it's just these little metal handheld ones. I have gotten to where I went through a phase where I was using electric sharpeners. I was using all kinds of different things, and I just get better results with these little handheld metal ones are my preference. So Coom is normally the brand that I go with. This one is, it probably came in a pencil set. Honestly, they're not like, there's not that big of a difference. The little metal ones, they just work well. Okay, I'm just sharpening a few before we get started. I probably should have done this before the live stream, but I decided I wanted to play with plants instead. So I've got some reds, some oranges. I've got some magenta type colors. This one is red violet. We want to get a variation there of the colors we're going to be using. Those should be good to start with. And I think, oh yes, definitely this. This one is the Derwent Lightfast. They're purple. I love this one. It's kind of more of a magenta type purple. That'll definitely be good for this. Most of the colors you see me pulling out are going to be my Polychromos. I may use a few of the Caran d'Ache Luminance and then my Derwent Lightfast. Irritated Paintbrush said, hi, Lisa, thank you for doing easy projects for a live stream. Thanks for joining. Yeah, the easy ones are the ones I can get done quicker, so they just make a lot more sense in general. Okay, so the first one I'm going to be using, this is Deep Scarlet Red. You don't have to use the same colors as me, and I say this all the time, but inevitably, several times a week, somebody is complaining that I didn't give them the colors. Colors aren't that big of a deal. It's your values. Are your darks dark enough? Your light's light enough? This is what you really, really want to focus on, are your values. I could draw this guy with more purples and he'll still look like a realistic cherry, just that darker purple color. So don't jump into depending too much on your colors. That's not really very important. It's our values that matter. Now it looks, okay, good. You guys can see. I have a very light sketch of these cherries in graphite. I used a 6H graphite pencil. Normally I go with like a 2 or a 4H, but 6H is what I grabbed, so that's what I went with. But just a light pencil, and I use a very light hand where I'm barely adding any pressure. So I can see my pencil lines, but they're also going to be very easy for me to hide. So I'm only really going over areas right now where I've got harsher edges just to kind of block out where everything is going to go. And it doesn't matter if every little highlight and every little shadow is in the exact right place. That's not a real big deal here. If you were doing a portrait, then that matters because the highlights and the shadows, that determines the underlying bone and muscular structure. You put a highlight in the wrong place, you just make the person look deformed. It's a cherry. Not that big of a deal. So we really don't have to worry about that here. This is why I usually, when people are newer to art and they're wanting to start with portraits, I don't start them with portraits. I start them with usually roses. Roses are great because you've got a lot of dimension. You can make it look very three-dimensional. If you can master just the general, making things look like they're curved and getting your highlights that way with a rose. Roses are forgiving because if you miss a petal, it's no big deal. You screw up someone's nose, it doesn't look like them anymore. So I usually start people off, even if their end goal is to move into portraits. We start usually with roses or, cherries would work. Now, a couple things that I'm doing here I want to point out that I would say is wrong when you're trying to make your work be more archival. I'm using regular masking tape to tape down my art. If this was something I was going to sell, well, I could sell this. I would just cut off where I use the masking tape. But this masking tape can leave a residue on the artwork that it's not pH neutral. It's not acid free. I recommend using a pH neutral acid free, same thing. I have some here. This is all I have left, so I don't want to use it for this. I need to order some more, but it's a black masking tape, and I don't know if you can see on there, it says Artist Tape Pro on that one. This one just says pH neutral. Both of these are pH neutral. They're archival. They're not going to leave residue that is going to cause the artwork to yellow over time. So don't use, I don't recommend regular masking tape on the work, unless, like in this case, I just cut that off because it's taped far enough around the artwork. It doesn't really matter to me. And that's something to keep in mind. The other thing, see how I keep resting my hand on here? Not a good idea. I would recommend putting a piece of glassine, ideally, or a piece of paper. Anything is better than nothing, but glassine is the product that I like. And it's again, pH neutral, acid free. So it's safe to be touching your artwork, and it's also, things don't stick to it. So let's say I get a little nugget of colored pencil or graphite or something like that, gets under my work. If it touches the glassine, it's not gonna stick. If I had a normal piece of paper, it might stick to it, and then when I slid the paper over, it could leave a mark where that little nugget of a pencil was. So just few things to keep in mind. Have I ever had that happen when I used regular paper? No, but it potentially could happen. So it's just something that I'm paranoid about. In this case, because I'm resting my hand on it, the oils from my skin, even though my hands are clean, they could still leave, or it would still leave some oils from my skin on the artwork, which over the years is not good as far as keeping it archival. And when we talk about things being archival, just how long is that going to last? You start getting things on there where whether it be that you're using colors that are not Lightfast, or in this case, the oils from your skin or the tape, that can cause the artwork to degrade faster than it otherwise would. And if you're selling your artwork, that's going to be an issue for the buyer. They want that artwork to last. So you as the creator need to be aware of that. A lot of people, when they buy artwork, they just assume the artist, like, that's going to last. Obviously, it's artwork. We've seen artwork in museums that have lasted hundreds and hundreds of years, so this will last too. They don't realize that a lot of artists use really bad quality materials that won't last, and that is very frustrating for buyers, and a lot of artists aren't even aware of that. So that's why we talk about things being archival being a big deal. If you're just practicing, honestly, like this, I'm not selling this, I don't care. But if anything, I would give it to a family member, like as a gift. And even then I probably should care more than I do, but it's like, yeah, whatever. But if somebody spends, you know, thousands of dollars on an art piece or hundreds of dollars on an art piece, they probably think that that's going to last a lot longer than it would if you were not using archive, you know, keeping in the habit of making sure everything is archival. So that is why that matters so much. And I know a lot of artists will think that, oh, it's no big deal. It is to a buyer. It really is. When that artwork fades, that buyer is not going to be happy. My husband has a colored pencil, and I'm sure it was back when Prismacolors were really all that was available then. It would have been drawn in probably the 80s or the 90s. Silver Surfer thing, a comic book artist had done. It is phenomenal. It's amazing. And I can tell already it was blues and purples, and it has definitely faded over the years. He's had that thing, well, since we were married in what, 2000. He had it years before that. So yeah, it was probably done in the 90s. And just in that amount of time, in that 20 years or a little over 20 years, it has absolutely faded. And that sucks because it's this awesome piece of art. And it doesn't matter how amazing the artist is when the art doesn't look like it was supposed to anymore. So that is why these things matter. Let's see, we've got some questions here. And I'm just kind of blocking in, oh, that's about where the dark areas are going to go, which is funny because what I'm doing right now would technically be about the right color for the light areas, but we're going to build. A couple things to point out. My pencil is very sharp. I'm working in little ovals, little circles to try to keep everything as smooth as possible when I blend out. Although on this, because it does have almost a gritty look, if it is a little blotchy, it's actually going to work for us for the way these cherries look. Let's see. Irritated Paintbrush said, can you please give tips on how to film art videos? My tip is to go and subscribe to Think Media and Video Creators. Those are two of my favorites, and they give you way better tips. I don't really have tips. It's just generalized. This is how you're going to film things. Practice is definitely going to be one, and it's not going to be amazing in the beginning. Heck, I still do things like I recorded. If you guys saw yesterday, I did the video on potting an orchid. It was not well done because I don't know what I'm doing when it comes to recording myself potting a plant. Like I've never done that before. And my audio was bad. I had to do a voiceover, and it's funny because my hands were like pointing things out and doing things that didn't match up with what I was saying because I changed the audio. It was a hot mess because I didn't know what I was doing. Just get in there and do it though. That don't get so worked up when it comes to videos about everything has to be perfect. You're going to improve over time. Just get in there and get started. Now I'm trying to kind of keep my white areas white where they're going to be, and actually I can make that easier on myself. Let's grab a white. I'm going to go, yeah, I'll go with my Derwent Drawing Chinese White. The areas that need to be lighter, I'm going to go ahead and block that in, and I'm pushing pretty hard with this guy, so I am burnishing where I want it to be really light. But if I'm not that, you know, as light as what I want it to be in the end, it's not a big deal because I'm going to be using Touch Up Texture Titanium White Mixture to get my white highlights, like really make them pop on this. Now, if you don't have that product, then you want to be careful and leave the white of your paper showing through as much as possible, or like what I'm doing now with the white pencil, this helps protect it. So that's going to help you out a lot. And I'm just putting it on the areas that need to be the brightest white. But like I said, I'm going to be using Touch Up Texture Titanium White Mixture, so I don't have to be super careful. Let's see. Desiree said, excited to watch from London. You're just getting into colored pencil. Do you recommend wax or oil-based? I like having a combination of both because there are things I like about both. The oil-based, like the Polychromos, I love that these keep a sharp point. They are sturdy. You're not going to break it. You can push pretty hard and not have one break. Like in all the years I've been using Polychromos, I don't know, 3 times I've had a pencil break because I pushed too hard. Like it is rare with these because they're so sturdy, because that's just the nature of a more oil-based pencil. Whereas with the wax-based, the thing I like really a lot about them is that they blend a little bit smoother because they're more opaque. So there are things, you know, if I'm doing a portrait, I'm going to tend to go more towards my wax-based. Not that it can't be done with an oil-based, but it just makes it a little bit easier, I think. So there's pros and cons, you know, there's things that I like better about each pencil. So I like having a big variety. I can't say one over the other. I will say one of the things I like about the Derwent Lightfast pencils, and just for transparency, Derwent did provide me with those pencils. So, you guys know that. I'm not like paid to say anything about them. They send them to me to review. I love them, so I tell you guys about them. But anyway, the Derwent Lightfast pencil, they're listed as an oil base, but they really feel to me more like a really nice balance between oil and wax. So it's kind of like right in the middle, really nice pencil. So those are nice if you're just looking for something kind of that takes advantage of the best of both worlds. They blend beautifully. They're not as hard as the Faber-Castell, so they're going to be a little bit more prone to breaking if you add very much pressure. The Faber-Castell Polychromos are going to get a finer point because they are a harder lead, but the Lightfast, the Derwent Lightfast is a really nice balance, I think, with between oil and wax. And they do list it as a wax or an oil-based pencil, but in practice they feel kind of like a mix between the two. So that may be a good choice. Desiree said, oh, we got that one. Sarah said, what do you think of the Derwent Lightfast color selection? I went through them, but I need as much pinks and magentas as possible. They still have not sent me the extended set, so I haven't really looked through them that much. In this set, I would definitely like more pinks and magentas. I see what you're saying with that for sure. That is one thing. Like they did really good with the purples, but the pinks and magentas aren't as strong. So that would be one where I would probably use more of another brand. This again is only the 72 set. I need to message them about. They never sent the other one. Yeah, this doesn't have any really pinks. It's like there's a peach, kind of pale peach, but there's no pink. I would have to mix it by adding white and red, which is something you can do. But it's definitely lacking there. And I'm not sure I haven't seen the other colors. I know they have more colors. I don't have them yet, so I can't tell you. But I mean, when you have a pencil brand, like there are colors that Luminance has that Polychromos doesn't, and the other way around. So having a variety is helpful. So you might like those and then get a bunch of pinks from Polychromos or Luminance. But I agree with you. It is definitely lacking, at least in the 72 set. Nancy said, 2 questions. Do you have the same studio lighting as before moving? And do you have a system for keeping track of your paintings and prints who purchased it at a gallery show, etc.? I don't keep track of any of that anymore. I used to. I don't anymore. Because I don't really focus on selling prints, and my prints right now are being sold through Fine Art America, which I may end up changing. We'll see. Their company seems to be... it seems like, as far as I know, people are getting their products just fine, but as far as the artist, like trying to update my thing, they've got some problems with their website going on. So I may change. But anyway, there's no way for me to know, like I can't tell who bought things. So I think it tells me what state somebody is in, but that's about it. So that is, for prints. I don't really do art shows and such anymore. I do Aquashella. Dropping my pencils on the floor is the only one that I've done in forever. And that wasn't really an art show. It was more of a aquarium festival type thing or event. But no, I don't keep track of it. As far as the lighting, no, the lighting is so, my actual lighting that I purchased is the same, but the lighting is so different in this room because I have this big bay window and it's south facing. So I get so much light in here, natural light, that I never got. My old studio was like in a cave. I got no direct light in there. So that's a big difference. But like the lighting that I use is the exact same. It's just that I've got natural light that I didn't used to have. Hold on. Is this something I need to... Oh, hold on. Let me just check this really quick. Nope, we're good. Okay. Let's see. Got that one. Like I said, thank you for your lessons. They are a great inspiration. Thanks for joining. Sarah, jumped too far. Sarah said, do you ever cut off part of a piece when you're cropping a photo for a print? I can't seem to avoid either doing that or showing part of the surface I had the painting on. Yeah, I always go in, like when I take the photo, I usually go in just a bit because the edge, sometimes the way the light hits it, that alone is reason enough for me to go ahead and crop part of that off on the image. Yeah, I do that. Sometimes I will just Photoshop it so that if it wasn't the right size, like it cropped a little too much, I can Photoshop paint and fix it. So sometimes I do that too. Let's see, will you be trying the new 24 Luminance pencils? Absolutely. Angel said, but that friend actually told me that galleries are almost obsolete now, as you can show your artwork online, which you can reach and show with a lot of people. So here's the thing. Galleries are absolutely not obsolete. Do we need them? No, but you're more likely to sell a large painting for thousands of dollars through a gallery than you are online. Most people aren't going to spend that online unless they really trust you and really know your name. People don't spend that, drop thousands of dollars. They want to see it in person first. So I would definitely not be one to say galleries are obsolete, but we can make a living without them now, where we didn't used to really be able to. So that's certainly changed, but obsolete is not the word I would use to describe them. The thing with galleries, though, most galleries find that they sell more impressionistic or modern art versus realism, photorealism, wildlife. That doesn't really sell that much in most galleries. You'll get some specialty galleries that can do it, but for the most part, most galleries are looking for more modern stuff. And not because they're being, all uppity about it, like, oh, we want modern art because we're fancy. It's not like that. It's that that's what's selling. That is what buyers are looking for when they go into the galleries. So that's something to definitely keep in mind. And that's something too. I mean, galleries used to be, they would dictate almost what style people painted if they wanted to make a living with their art. We don't have to do that now. I don't need to sell my art through a gallery because I can do it online. I'm not going to sell it. It's going to be harder for me to sell bigger pieces and such. I can do prints on my own. I can do things on my own that you used to have to do through, if I had prints, you had to sell it at a gallery. Where else would you sell more art shows? I don't need to do any of that anymore. So again, not obsolete, but not as important or as necessary, I would say, as they used to be. Let's see. Erica said, can you please do some more tutorials with art? Any art on pastel mat and colored pencils? I am starting to use pastel mat and I love it. Would love to see more tutorials on it. Absolutely. I like pastel mat a lot, so definitely. Vladimir said, it would be really cool if companies would sell you the lead from the lead, from the colored pencil so you could insert it into a mechanical pencil. That'd be so cool. So here's the thing though, it can't handle it. Like as soon as you go to put it in, they're going to be breaking. They're not intended. While it would be cool, you would have to have a million I have hundreds of colors of colored pencil. I would have to have hundreds of mechanical pencils. No, thank you. I'm going to pass on that. And then how am I going to, you can't I can look at, so I'm just giving you, I like to play devil's advocate. So while parts of that idea I think are cool, here's some of the parts that would not be cool. I can look at my pencil and quickly go, okay, that's red. That's whatever. If it's in a mechanical pencil, I can't do that anymore. You would have to have a mechanical pencil for each individual color, which would be expensive and that would be a huge challenge. But like I said, the birds flying around my window right here. Like I said, there are the lead is not the same as like graphite. So when you go to put it in, you're going to have some issues, especially with a wax-based pencil that's more soft and more prone to breaking. So they're going to work out so well for you. So yeah, I like to play devil's advocate, so that's what I'm doing there. Desiree said, thank you for your opinion on brands and choices between wax and oils. I appreciate Desiree from London. You are welcome, Desiree from London. Nick said, my camera moved. Oh, you are not kidding. Thank you. Ooh, I wonder how long ago it did that. Oh, probably when I knocked the pencil over. Thank you. Let's see. What's on the agenda for next week's live stream? We are starting a hummingbird and acrylics. That'll be, I'm hoping, about a 3-part session on Wednesday. I'm not sure for Friday yet. Let's see. I know you don't like to give tips about packaging, but is there any problem with sending graphite drawings inside plastic bags? I've heard plastic and canvas shouldn't touch. So graphite drawings, I put them in, it's like almost like cellophane, but they have it that's pH neutral that you would put I buy it in packs when I sell graphite. So my graphite stuff comes matted, and it comes with, I buy it as a pack that has like the outside, it's like cellophane, but it's not, it's just this plastic covering. That's what I do with mine. Okay. What's your take on marketing one's art on social media platforms? I think it's the best thing you can do. That is the reason galleries are not absolutely necessary in order to make a living anymore. Social media is great. The thing you've got to watch though, and I see people do this, heck, I do it too much with Patreon. Patreon's in trouble right now because of some legal issues. And it's one of those things where some people are speculating Patreon's going to have to go completely under because of it. We'll see what happens. All my eggs are in that basket. How am I going to pay my house payment? I mean, I would move over to another platform, but diversifying on multiple, I'm not saying you have to be on every single platform, but you need to have your own website, first of all. So while social media is a big deal, you have to have your own website where, let's say Facebook, let's say Patreon, whatever goes down, people know they can go find me on my website and know where my lessons will be next. Like I'm always going to be teaching. I just might have to move platforms, and I need a centralized place where people can find that information. So yes, absolutely market your work on social media, but also have your own website. Have a place that you control, that if a website, goes under, people know where they can find you. I think that that's really, really important. Don't put all your eggs in that basket. Most of mine, like I said, most of mine are on Patreon. So if Patreon goes under, I have to quickly find somewhere else to move those lessons to. Luckily, all of my lessons are on Vimeo and, they're hosted elsewhere. So I just have to it would be time consuming for me, but I just have to take that content and move it. But that is something that you want to keep in mind. Let's say Facebook, let's say you did all of your marketing on Facebook and only Facebook. If Facebook had something happen where they just disappeared overnight, how are your fans going to find you? Again, I'm not saying you need every social media platform. I use Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and MeWe. So I've got the 4 that I really use. Twitter, I think it automatically posts my videos now, but or my email newsletter. I don't use Twitter anymore. Twitter's crap. But that's just nothing but a political nightmare. But they don't, where's I going with that? Oh, so if one of those, I'm on multiple places, so if one of those went out, people know they can find me on my website or one of the other things. So I do think it's good to kind of diversify as far as that goes. But absolutely, marketing your artwork on social media is amazing. And so let's say you built your own website. You're not just going to get customers because you had a website. You're going to use social media to get people funneled back to your website. So yes, absolutely. Let's see. Are Derwent drawing pencils Lightfast? They are. All of them are. Oh, I love the Derwent drawing pencils. I wish they had more colors. Gypsy Heart said, beginner pigment marker next Friday. Possibly, please. Wink, wink, beggar's face. You have been asking for that forever. Hold on. That is what we're doing. One second. You have patiently been asking for this for so long. Next Friday is going to be pigment marker. What in pigment marker? I don't know, but... Okay, Friday's pigment marker. Got that down. Let's see. Veek said, and when would you use pastel matte and when Lux Archival besides affordability? They're different. It's a different way of working. So it's not an issue of I'm going to say one's better than the other. I like them both for different reasons. When I would use one, depends on what mood I'm in. Do I feel like you're working on sanded paper or do I feel like working on pastel matte? That would be what that would boil down to for me. There's no this is always the time I would use this or this is always the time I would use that. Unless if I wanted to use powder blender, always Lux Archival. That would be the only always. Let's see. Whoop, that just scrolled too far. Angel said shipping artworks are scary and needs trust to the courier. Even though you have varnished your painting, it may still smudge or mess up the painting. Yeah, it's scary. I've got I've got one thing I still need to figure out how to get to Australia right now. It's boxed. I've got a eagle owl here and I've got a cheetah on my wall. Those have to be boxed today. Those are going out on Monday. And it's always so nerve-wracking when you send something because it's like, is it going to get lost? Is it going to, it's definitely scary. And if it gets lost, I'm the one who eats the cost of that, not the buyer. Not the buyer shouldn't. I mean, that's rightfully so. And it's scary. It's like, am I going to be out hundreds and hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars, depending on how much the painting cost, because USPS can't do their job correctly, or UPS can't do their, it's definitely terrifying. It's kind of funny to me that we have to pay for insurance, extra money for insurance, for the sole purpose of making sure they do guaranteed that they do the job that you're paying them in the first place to do. That has always been like, wow, talk about double dipping. USPS, or not USPS, UPS, takes my $45 for the artwork and then wants to charge me another $10 to ensure that they actually deliver the artwork I just paid you $45 for. It's always been like, that's a little, okay. I mean, I'm going to pay it, but still. Whoops, where was it? I bet they do their job a little bit better if everything was automatically insured. I know there's pros and cons to everything. Someone's going to jump all over me for that. Jason said, Lisa, we are starting on the usual supplies. Are we starting with the usual supplies on Wednesday? Yes. Yes, we are. I still have to find the reference photo we're going to use for that hummingbird. Let's see. Is alcohol archival for blending colored pencils? I've heard pros and cons, and I'm going with the cons. I would not do it myself. That is... God, I can't even remember what it was. There were some reasons that it was not the ideal way to go. I mean, people do it, but there were definitely some concerns as far as being archival, and I cannot remember off the top of my head right now what that was. I would have to look into it. But I believe when we looked into it before, it was a big, that's not the best choice. And I can't remember why now. This is what happens when you have no memory. Vladimir says, I'm thinking of buying a canary or a bird of some time. Nothing too big. Do you know how much that would cost, like a Petco or some animal store? I don't recommend getting birds at Petco or them because I used to be the bird specialist at Petco when they bought out Super Pets. This was 20 something years ago, back in California, and Petco got their birds from a very not reputable source. So it's not the extent of a puppy mill, but we got so many sick birds that I had to then medicate. I wouldn't personally buy one from Petco or PetSmart or a place like that. I would go onto Craigslist and find a breeder who is has just their birds, not a million birds, but their birds that they take very good care of is what I would look for. That's where I got my, it's been a year since I had a canary, but that's where I got mine. And I want to, God, that was nearly 20 years ago, about 15 years ago. I probably paid, I don't know, $60 for a guaranteed male that was a beautiful singer. He was a red factor, beautiful bird. I loved him. Canaries only live about 5-6 years. I believe they're not super long lived, but I've been tempted to get another one, but I'm like, where would I put one that I'm sure Wade wouldn't get to the cage and then the birdseed? Do I really want, because I don't need another in with chicken, since my husband's planning on getting a ringneck parakeet. So anyway, I love canaries so much. Someday I may end up breaking down and getting one for the living room. But anyway, that I wouldn't go with a pet store like that. Now, that said, we have a place not local, but it's called, I think, Parrot Tree House or something like that. And they I would trust where they source their birds from because they go through actual breeders in the area. So you will have some specialty places like that are good, but Petco, PetSmart, these big chains, heck no, I would not get a bird from them. I would not trust, and you may get one and never have any problems. I'm not going to risk, because I already have birds, my bird's health, and I wouldn't recommend. Plus, here's the other thing. So back when I worked at Petco, a cockatiel, like your standard gray basic cockatiel, would cost, I don't know, you get them for like $25 through most breeders because it was a super common color. That at Petco, we were charging like $100 and something for them for the same bird, and from a crappy breeder on top of that. So there's my advice there. Let's see. Going back, pigment marker of a fox. No, that's going to be too advanced. Foxes I think that's going to be too much for I don't think that's the best medium for pigment marker anyway, but I don't think that's going to be good for a 2-hour live stream. Foxes are very involved. Hold on, spam call. No, I'm not talking to you. Okay, where were we? There we go. Beak said, is powder blender useful for Arch's hot press watercolor paper and pastel mat? No, powder blender is only for sanded paper. I think I've told you this before. Only sanded paper. That is never going to change. Only sanded paper. Angel said, alcohol is not the best choice as the pH value messes up the paper, being the alcohol evaporates faster than water, so nope, alcohol is never archival. Thank you, Angel. Good, somebody's paying attention. Nancy said, Derwent is thinking about adding the Derwent to the Derwent drawing line. Oh, I sure hope so. My God, they are I love Derwent drawing pencils. Let's see. Gracie said, please can you tell me what paper brand do you recommend for beginner with colored pencils? Thank you very much. I mean, how beginner are you? I really like the Arches Hot Press watercolor paper. That's one of my favorites. I used to use Fabriano Artistico. These are more expensive papers. If you're just starting, I actually, believe it or not, like the, what is it? Hold on. I have it right here. Let me grab it. I think I have it right here. Maybe not. I think I lied. Nope, I don't have it right here. I lied. Look up Lachri. It's a macaw, 12 colors, like beginners. I don't know, Nick or Joseph, if you can look up the link. I don't remember what it is. It's that macaw that I did with only 12 colored pencils, and I cannot remember what I listed that as. That paper on there, it was Strathmore, was it mixed? Strathmore drawing paper. I think that's what it was. It's listed in there. The link is in that. And that is actually good to get started with. The problem with it is it is very lightweight and it's easy to tear. So, you have to be a little bit careful with it. But other than that, it's actually a pretty good paper. Now, notice all of the values I have on here, the lights and the darks. This was all done with one pencil, and it was based on layering, not by how much pressure I put on I don't want to put much pressure. This is all the same amount of pressure. It's just how much I layer that same pencil again and again and again over the same area. But it's all being done with a light hand, little ovals, so I'm overlapping. I'm going to go ahead and start getting some darker colors in there. So I've got my red violet. Start using this guy. Let's see. Oops. Gypsy Heart said, maybe something like a flamingo or a jellyfish in the pigment marker. Jellyfish would be easy. Flamingo, I probably could too. Either, let me write down those suggestions. Flamingo or jellyfish. The challenge with doing the live streams is always fun. It's not that like the fox, I think that was a great idea. It's just that well, I wouldn't probably do that with pigment. And I could do it with pigment marker now that I think about it. It would be a big project though. Sorry, itchy nose. The problem is I'm limited on time. I've got to be able to get it done really quickly, and certain subjects are just not practical for getting things done. When there's a lot of fur, that's good. Like the koala took us 6 weeks because that's a lot, fur. There's certain things that are just very, very time consuming. We've got orange that we're going to use for this really bright area in here. I'm going to go ahead and put that down now. This is what's going to give us that glow, like the light is coming through here. Got a little bit up here too. Lynn said, have you ever used or do you know anything about using a heat source under colored pencil work? I've seen something about it helping with blending. So that is by Esther Roy. It's the, what does she call it? It's a big heat box. I looked into it. I was considering buying it, but the problem is they really are only going to be effective for wax-based pencils and only to a certain extent. So, because it heats it melts the heat. I don't use just wax-based pencils, so it's just not practical for me. I'm, by the way, now layering orange on some of this light area. And the orange is listed as dark cadmium orange. But I've seen people use it and it was kind of cool, but I've also known a lot of people who got that. They bought it thinking it'd be really helpful and realized it's not as effective as what I want, is what I've heard from other people. So it's definitely one of those things that, from what I understand, has a large learning curve. And yeah, some people love it. Some people are like, this is absolutely not useful for me. And I think part of that may be, are you using a lot of wax-based products? The wax-based products are going to work on that, where the oil-based are not, it's not going to do anything for my Polychromos. So let's see. Beak said, sorry, I meant pan pastels. Oh, yeah, pan pastels. I've not done them on pastel mat. I need to, though. I definitely need to. And they should work fine. I've heard great things about using pan pastels on pastel mat. I just haven't tried it myself yet. I need to experiment with that for sure. Let's see. Angel said, where's the espresso? I don't drink espresso. I can't handle that much caffeine. I've had it before and I love it. My system cannot handle that much caffeine. I have decaf peach tea today. It is not nearly as exciting as coffee would be. Let's see. Jason said, Lisa, is the weather in your area of Texas good for tropical birds without them having the air conditioner on them? I don't think the weather in Texas is good for anybody without having air conditioner. Like what Texas gets, we're in the high 90s to 100s for most of the summer. Like that's not ideal indoors. I wouldn't do it. Birds can handle heat, especially if you're misting them. There were, like in California, California wasn't as humid though. When growing up, we did not have air conditioning when we bred birds. And so they did fine in the house, but our house had so many shade trees over it. In California, you cooled down a lot at night. So we would leave our windows open, house would cool down quite a bit. You would lock everything up and keep it locked up all day long. So the house stayed fairly cool with fans and stuff running. So it didn't get as hot. Here, that doesn't work. Texas does not cool down very much at night at all. It's one of my few complaints about Texas. It stays hot. You might get down to 80 at night. Maybe, probably not. Where California still goes down to, 50s and 60s, even in the summer. At least into the 70s. So that is definitely, I would not be comfortable. Like, and I've considered that. Like here, what happens if our air conditioner goes out because the birds, the fish, everybody like that worries me. So with what I would do with the birds, because that would be kind of a panic moment for me if we completely lost air conditioning for like days at a time, I would take a spray bottle. This is what we did in California with our birds. If it got too hot, we would mist them down with a spray bottle to keep them cool. But birds, most of them are tropical and they can handle the heat, but you need to have the airflow, the water. There were things that we did to make that work. Just a bird in a hot house in Texas, I'm going with, I wouldn't recommend it. It gets too hot here. Again, I am not pushing hard. I'm just continuously layering over whatever area I want to get darker. Desiree said, what is your favorite paper to use? It depends on what I'm doing. I don't have one single favorite. If I'm working with sanded paper, hands down Lux Archival from brushandpencil.com. If I'm working, I like pastel matte. If I'm working with hot press watercolor paper, Arches Hot Press is my favorite. I like Canson Me 10s in all the different colors. If I want a colored paper, that's usually what I go with. I have Stonehenge. I've used it a few times. I don't use it too often, but it's okay. There's some things I like, some things I dislike about that one. So yeah, I don't have a single favorite. Let's see. Sarah said, how do you stay motivated when you're working on a big colored pencil piece? Any bigger than A4 is too much for my back. I don't know what A4 is, if someone can tell me. Here in the US, we don't use fancy terms. We're just like inches. That's all we know, inches and feet. We did not educate ourselves on anything else. But I don't know what size of that is, but just speaking generally on big pieces, I try to get them done as quickly as possible. So when I've done 16 by 20 pieces, I try to get it done in 2 weeks. If I spend longer, if I could even push it to 3, but when I start going more, I'm like, I don't want to work on this anymore. Anything beyond 2 weeks for one piece, and I really do start getting burnt out. Like, I just need this to be done now. And that's going to vary from person to person for sure. There are people who will spend months on one piece and love it and are sad when the piece is done, kind of like when you finish a book. I'm kind of the opposite, where I'm like, I just need this artwork done now. I want to work on something else. I have too many ideas in my head I want to jump onto next. So the way I stay motivated is just get it done as quick as possible. Like, when I get this done, I can start my next project. And I don't let myself start anything else until the first one is done. But you said, let's see, anything bigger than that is too much for your back. Working up, for me, now it depends on what your back problem is, but for me, I can work upright or long term because I'm upright at an easel. If I had to look down and draw, I can't do that more than like 5 minutes and I start having problems. See, I just keep layering and layering. Notice that I have not blended with odorless mineral spirits yet. We're 40 minutes into this and I am still just layering and layering these base layers. It is going to make my life way easier when I start blending if I've got a lot of pigment on this paper. If you start blending out too soon, it's just going to look like the color's very muted. And this first layer will be kind of muted too. But you want to just build up and build and build and build so that you have, and not by pushing hard. That's not going to give you the results that you want. But by doing this, I'm going to switch back to my red. This is going to give the OMS something to work with. If you try to blend out with odorless mineral spirits, and you don't have much pigment on the paper, there's nothing for it to work with. So it's just like, I don't know what you want me to do with this right now. I'm gonna make it ugly. So you wanna get a lot of layers on there. Let's see. Gracie said, I got my first set of Derwent blocks. Aren't they fantastic? The Inktense? Yes. Oh my God, yes. Toby said, how do you use your white and ivory Polychromos colored pencils? So if I need white, because I had to figure out how to make that work when I did a few promo stuff for Faber-Castell or with Polychromos. Because I was just using their pencils. So the way that I do it, Faber-Castell sells this. This is their Perfection Eraser. It's like an ink eraser. This thing is amazing. Any area where it gets a little dark, I'll just erase. Oh, that has graphite on it, and I just got it on my artwork. Genius, Lisa. I will just erase that area. Like, let's say I wanted a white highlight here. I would erase it and then put the white on top of it, and the white will show up so much better than if you just try to put white on top straight that way. The other thing that I really like the white Polychromos for, or the ivory, is on sanded paper. It shows up so well on that, even on pastel matte too. Okay. I think this is a decent base. Let's go ahead and blend this out. While that dries, we'll get our base on the stems, and then we can start making it look good. So it's not going to look pretty this first time through. I'm using a bit of odorless mineral spirits. Ooh, I do not have the right paper towel. There we go. And I'm just going to smudge all of that. And I don't care in my case if it smudges into the white because, well, let me back that up. I do not want to smudge it into the white of the paper. I want that to stay white. But if I smudge it here, don't care. I'm using my Touch Up Texture titanium white mixture. But I do want to be careful around these edges. I do not want that smudging into the white paper. My white paper is already messy because look at, I don't know if you can see, I've got red on my hand because I'm not using glassine. That's why that happens. Here's another reason. Look at the muddy mess I've made of my work because I did not put glassine under my hand. And so I'm smudging. So like I said, I can smudge right into that white because I don't care. Let's fill that in. Same thing over here. A little bit more odorless mineral spirit, so this will blend out. Now this does not smudge the same as it would like with watercolor pencils or Inktense. It's not, the OMS does not use that. And I don't know, it amazes me how many times I get this question. This is not water. Water is not going to blend your colored pencils like this. This is odorless mineral spirits. Colorless, God, I can't talk. Colored pencils are wax and oil based. Water doesn't play nice with that. So it's odorless mineral spirits or a paint thinner. I use Mona Lisa odorless paint thinner. You can also use Gamsol. It's supposed to be less toxic. They both work like in practice. They're the exact same. Gamsol costs a little bit more, but they are both going to blend that out for you. I would be careful around that edge. Now this actually looks better than I normally get it to look like at this stage because I have so many layers before I bothered blending. I put so much on there. Now this has to dry 100% before we go back over it. One thing a couple of reasons. One is that if you take a pencil on top of this wet, the paper is vulnerable right now. One of the things with colored pencil when you're working on hot press watercolor paper like this or whatever, this type of paper, sorry, itchy nose, you're constantly trying to preserve the integrity of the paper. That paper is weak. We don't want to put a hard pencil on top of it and weaken it even further. We want to keep the tooth of the paper. And you put a pencil on top of wet, that is not going to end well. The other thing is it doesn't work well. It doesn't even look good if you put a pencil on top of a wet, the wet from odorless mineral spirit. So we want that to dry. While that's drying, we can go ahead and start getting the stems in. And let's see, I'm going to do a bright, kind of a lime green. This one is called May Green. I think I have some brighter greens than that, though. Yeah, I'm going to do my base. This one is called Cadmium Yellow Lemon. That works. Let's go ahead and sharpen that so it's super bright. I'm going to do that as my base on the entire stem, other than where the brown is. Because I can layer anything darker on top of this. This will be a good base. Let's see. Leah votes for a jellyfish for the, whoops, I just scrolled too far, the pigment markers. I'll see what reference photos, I bet I can find a good jellyfish. I think that would be a really good medium for, yes, okay, I think it's going to be a jellyfish. Let me write that down. Decision made. I need to find good jellyfish pictures. Jellyfish in pigment marker on Friday. That'll be fun. Oh, my lid is coming off my tea. No, it's not. Okay. Oops. Hi, Ahmed. Nikolai says, hey Lisa, one of two. I've been using the polys for a year and I say I've gotten the hang of them. However, I've started mixing some luminance and I feel as I'm too heavy-handed. I'm not sure if that's the case. Sorry, itchy eye. Itchy nose, itchy eye. I'm just itchy today. I'm not sure if that's the case or if the luminants are just extremely pigmented. How do I ensure I'm not burnishing too early or getting enough pigment done? So that's just a difference of a wax-based versus an oil-based. That is why that's happening. The wax-based, it always feels like it lays down a bit faster and it blends a bit smoother, like more pigment comes on the paper. You're just going to experiment and see what you need to do to get the results that you want. But I wouldn't say that you're doing anything wrong or that anything is going on there. Try it with a lighter hand, try it with a heavier hand, see which one gives you the results you like the most. But that is just the nature of a wax-based colored pencil. That more pigment, oh my gosh, my eye's really itching. More pigment is really coming out of that pencil faster, even though you're not pushing harder. You should be fine. It shouldn't be a problem because you're not pushing hard. You're not actually damaging the tooth of the paper. That's why we don't want to push hard. We don't want to damage that paper so that we can keep putting more layers on top. You're using the same, heaviness with your hand or lightness with your hand as you were with your Polychromos. You're in more color is coming out. You're not damaging your paper. I think it's just a difference of how much feels like it comes out with oil versus wax. Lady Fair said, I noticed you're not using the small circles. Do you use that method for blending? I'm using, for blending, I just circles, ovals, back and forth. I go every which direction. For actually layering the pencil in, now in this case, it's just a thin area, so I'm just going straight back and forth. When I worked here, I was using ovals. It doesn't look like it. My hand moves too fast. It looks like I'm moving it straight back and forth, but I'm not. It is ovals. It's a rounded end. And the reason that you don't want to do, like why we talk about working ovals or circles, when you move that pencil and you round it, the end, the start and end point, it's soft, and then you're overlapping into your next area. When you're going straight lines back and forth, you have harsh start and stop points. So it really shows up on the, it's obvious. It looks sketchy. It looks like crayon. So that is, things to keep in mind with the pencil. But no, I'm not. I'm with the pencil, it's always in little ovals, except for right here because it's just a stem. And it was a small thin area. And then with this guy, I work it when I'm working with odorless mineral spirits, it goes every which direction. Toby said, how do you take clear photos of your artwork? I use a DSLR camera and a tripod. And then I use Lightroom to make it look as much like the original painting as possible. Whoops, that tripod is really helpful. Got a couple more questions. TK said, at the moment I'm drawing the 100 heads in 10-day challenge. Wow, I like it. Makes me practicing portraits a lot. Have you ever tried something like that or created a challenge by yourself? I don't get into the challenges, not because I don't think they're cool. I think they're cool. I think that they're good for you. I have too much to do already. I would have to stop doing everything else to do something like that. So they're not for me. I like to do completed works, more involved stuff. I just don't enjoy the quick, I keep trying to get myself to do sketchbooks. I don't enjoy it. Why am I doing this? I don't enjoy it. I don't have time. It's not for me. I think they're great though for getting people going. That type of a challenge, drawing a bunch of heads, drawing a bunch of people, you're going to improve on, your skills there way fast. That's awesome. But no, I do not. I just don't have time, and I don't, it's just not that fun to me. I've always been one who, I just want to finish the full project. When I was younger, I liked sketchbooks, but now, not so much. I like the idea of them. I just cannot get myself to get into them. Let's get a darker green. See, I just keep building up to darker and darker. He's in shadow a lot back here. A few little sketchy lines there. And then we've got, looks like some brown up on the top section. We'll switch over. Have you ever tried sublimation? I don't know what that is. Thinking about starting to do that for selling my art. I have never heard of it. I don't know what it is. Oh, glad you made it, Paul. Missy said, how do I find my own style? Everyone teaches their own style, different techniques. Love your tutorials as well as others. Any suggestions? Yeah, you draw more. This is super easy. And it doesn't seem easy. You don't find, I keep looking over here. I forget my camera's here right now. I screw myself up. Sorry. You're going to find your style by painting and drawing more and explore other lessons. Yes, but you have to start doing your own work, and your style comes from experience and practice. It's not something that you just like, oh, I'm going to go out today and find my style. It won't happen. Your style is something that happens over years of practice and experimenting and trying different things and figuring out what you like or don't like in work. There's no like instant, I'm going to go get my style today. Like, yay, it's style day. Like, it doesn't work that way. It's going to come from years of painting and drawing. So paint and draw more. That's how you're going to get your style. And it's probably going to evolve from all of the lessons that you've taken, all of the tutorials you've followed. It's going to come from, you know, pieces from this artist, pieces from that artist, pieces from this artist. You're going to find the bits that you like from everybody and combine them into your own is what should happen. Jason said, Lisa, is that the same cup from the last broadcast? It is not. My husband brought me new tea last night. Like, that's my, I've been on a super low calorie strict thing. He used to bring me like in and out and food that I liked. And now it's like, here's some tea with no sugar. Well, I don't drink sugar in my tea, or put sugar in my tea anyway, but it's like, here's the only thing I can give to you that you'll eat. So, or consume. But yeah, he got me that one last night. That was way more information than anyone needed. Okay. And weirdly enough, I was stupidly excited to get a new, like, big new tea from Sonic. We didn't have Sonics in California, at least nowhere near me. So that's definitely different, and it sucks because I already, like, by the time we moved here, I already had celiac disease, so I already couldn't eat, like, anything there. So I've never even eaten Sonic food. I've only had their iced tea. And on bad days where I was, like, super cheating, Coke. I have that right now. Let's see. I'm just going to grab this because I've got it here. It's just a bright yellow. Let's throw that in there. Okay. We'll let that set. We're going to come back to that, but this should be dry enough now. We can start really focusing on our values. So I need to get a really dark. I could mix black in with the red, but it's going to mute it in a way or dull it in a way that I don't want. So I think I'm going to try some purples. I really like a lot of the purples out of the Derwent, which one is that? The Derwent set, or Derwent Lightfast set. So let's go through. Pull some from there. Let's see what, I'm just pulling out some dark colors that might work for me here. Give me just a second. Ooh, what are you? Ooh. Grab some luminance into, or start mixing some of those in there. Like some good colors. One good one. Okay. So we've got, this is Deep Rose. That is from the Derwent Lightfast colors. Let's start putting some of that in there. And one of the things I'll start doing too, I'm going to take a light blue. Now in this case, it wasn't really, light blue is not exact, but you know how I like to do my blue highlights and edging stuff. So that is what I'm going to go with. And I want to go with a wax-based pencil so it really shows up. I'm going to try 2 different colors, 3 different ones. We'll see which one I like. Let's see, this will probably work. This is the Caran d'Ache Light Cobalt Blue. Yep, that is going to be what I go with. I can put the other ones down. So it's super, super light, and that's what I'm going to use for my highlights on this guy, where not the brightest white highlights, but just the medium ones. And I am pushing on this. Now I am burnishing because I'm not going to be layering anything on top of that, maybe white, but I am pushing pretty hard on that highlight. So burnishing is where we're jamming, we're pushing hard, we're jamming the pencil into the tooth of the paper. Now this does damage the tooth, wrong camera. This does damage the tooth of the paper, but it doesn't, I don't need to put more layers on there, so that doesn't matter to me right now. Or not that many more. If I do, it'll just be white. So I'm just gonna block those in so I know about where they're gonna go. We've got some around here. And then we've got a highlight. Let's see, kind of continues around this guy. And a bit along this edge. Actually, that highlight comes in here a little bit too. Pull that in. We've got a lot of this is going to go right over this middle section with that blue where we did the orange. And then not pushing super hard there. Okay, let's start building up some of the darks now. Now that I've got that mostly in there. Whoop, that just scrolled too far. Hold on, where were we? Oh, I'm missing a whole bunch of questions. Hold on one second. Jessica said, what's a good beginner colored pencil? I guess the ones I bought you don't recommend. I'm trying a new medium. I recommend the best for beginners too, but get less colors. Get like a 12 pack or, you know, whatever you can afford, but get a small pack of good pencils. So Polychromos, Luminance, Derwent, Lightfast would be like my top 3. Get one of those and just a smaller set of those. Actually, when I talk about the smaller set of Derwent Lightfast, they're not the best for the small set, but like a 12 set of Polychromos, you can do everything you want. You can layer, you can get so many colors from that. And you're going to learn more about mixing colors using less colors. And I know that seems backwards, but that is a way easier way to learn than trying to get a set of 120 and figuring out what color you want to use. So yeah, a 12 or a small set of Luminance or Polychromos. And again, the Derwent Lightfast, I love them, but I'm not sure what colors come in their small set. It may be suitable, it may not, I'm not sure. Or you could buy them individually. I mean, they're available open stock. Buy the colors you want. Like, let's say you wanted to go with Derwent Lightfast. Just go buy the individual colors you want. Get 12 good colors that you think would be a good start. That would be my recommendation. Paul said, why Polychromos is inconsistent with being matte or has shine after it's done, hard to capture on camera. It's just the wax and the oil and the products in it. All colored pencils are going to have some of that. You just have to play around with where you photograph to avoid having that glare. Sarah said, I found a photo of a jellyfish, I believe on Pixabay, that I used for painting in India ink. It was good practice for a new medium. Nice. Let's see. Sublimation is a form of printing which uses her transfer dye to materials on plastic hard fabric. The name was first applied because of the dye. Interesting. Nikolai said, how was that orange ginger tea? I had it last night as hot tea. It was really good. I'm not sure if I'm going to like it. It might be amazing as iced tea. I'm not sure. I haven't tried it that way. But as hot tea, I really did like it. I'm not unhappy. I have 100 packs of it now. It comes, Stash sells 100 or 100 little bags. Sells them in big boxes. And I got the wrong one. I got the orange ginger. I thought I was getting peach ginger. I should read things more clearly. But it was pretty good. I'm not unhappy with it. I'm going to switch. I need to get more, I'm going to get a darker red. What do I have? Oh, this one might work good. This is the Caran d'Ache Luminance Pura something lean brown. I don't know. I can't read things because your writing's freaking tiny, Caran d'Ache. Oh, that sharpener doesn't work on that one. Okay. Oh my gosh, no, seriously, stop itching. Melissa said, do you know what the ingredients are in powder blender? I have no idea. It fascinates me that a powder can blend colored pencil. I'm a the more you know nerd. I have no idea what the ingredients are. Let's see. Is considered to transition between solid and gas states without going through a liquid stage. Wow, that is more information than I'm going to retain, unfortunately. Toby said, which colored pencil do you use the most? Oil-based, wax-based pencils. What are they best for? It depends on what I'm doing. If I'm doing a ton of tiny, tiny detail and there's a pigeon or a dove trying to land on top of a tiny bird feeder right now on my window and it's making a racket. They keep trying to get to the food that's not, they have their own food, but they already ate their own food. Now they want the little bird food. No, you don't fit on that. Stop making so much noise. But anyway, I'm sorry. Random. If I'm going for a lot of detail I'm going to reach usually for my oil base. They get to a sharper point. They're better for that when I'm doing like smooth blending, let's say on a portrait. I like my wax base better. They blend smoother for something like that. So it really depends on what it is. And sometimes it's just based, like right now, this color was just good. This color wasn't in the other two sets, and it is working out well for me. And so that's why I chose that. But it depends on what it is. Like if I'm doing a background with a lot of smooth blending, like a bokeh background, I'm almost always going to go to my wax base pencils first. Once I get into the details, I switch into my oil base more. Andrea said, where do you find sanded paper? Can you sand your own? No, you cannot. And I get mine from Brush and Pencil. Lux Archival is what I use. They also sell it at, I think Dick Blick has it too. I just go straight through Brush and Pencil's website, but I'm pretty sure you can get that at Dick Blick as well. But any art supply store, like online, not in person, I've never seen, none of the art supply stores I have near me have it, but this is actually not supposed to be dark right there. That went a bit too dark, so let's just erase it before I blend it. A normal eraser, not going to work so well. This one is that Faber-Castell Perfection Eraser. It's like an ink eraser. It's wonderful. I love this thing. Oh, that just made a noise. Did I just disconnect? Nope. That was just something I didn't need to know about. Thanks for notifying me of nothing, Windows. Hi, Carla. Let's see. Desiree said, can I mix wax and oil-based pencils in the same piece? Absolutely. I'm doing it here. I'm mixing my, what do I have? Polychromos. I'm mixing my luminance, and I'm mixing my Derwent Lightfast. They all blend well, and it doesn't matter what, like, it doesn't matter if you put one down first and then the other. You can go back and forth in any order you want. Let's see. Whoops. Oh my gosh. Missing so much. Hold on. Scrolling back up. I really missed a lot. Here we go. Sarah said, after I found Nightshade, I cannot use black again. Everything looks good with purple shadows. Oh, you're so right. Let's see. Skylar said, for the highlights, I mean. I don't know where that question came from. I'm sorry. I can't keep up with, like, when it was 2 questions ago, my brain clears it out. I'm sorry. Let's see. It's basically a transfer screen printing that uses heat transfer. Wow, I've never looked into anything like that. That's interesting. Paul said, I joined the Brush and Pencil art group on Facebook. Nice. Ahmed said, any plans for acrylic painting class? I've got acrylics we're going to be doing Wednesday. At 8 p.m. we're going to be starting a hummingbird in acrylics. And we'll be doing that live. Missy said, Statch peach ginger green tea is very good. See, the green tea has too much caffeine. I've been trying to do more decaf because I just don't handle caffeine that well. So, yeah, unfortunately, one of my favorite teas is Stash peach. It's just regular peach black tea. Oh my God, it's good. But I made myself sick drinking too much of it because it was so good. Apparently, I have impulse control issues. I'm like, what? A little bit of tea is good? I must drink it all. Tallulah said, have you ever found Derwent Lightfast have a weird sort of chalky look after you blend them out with OMS? So far, I've only noticed it on Inktense, so I don't know if it's if it's me or the paper. It's probably because you don't have enough pigment on the paper. I've never had it happen, but usually when people have problems when things look chalky or weird with OMS, it's because there isn't enough pigment. Just go back over it. Add more. I've got some blotches in here with the dark, so we can go ahead and start putting some of those. All right, let's see. Angel said, oh, that just rolled too far. Come back, Angel. Angel said, I love how you answer these redundant questions. We live for a resilient art. Thanks. Let's see. I would join the hummingbird one, but it's at 2 a.m. for me. Well, you can watch it later if you want to follow along. Let's see. Toby said, I recently discovered that Derwent Lightfast and Faber-Castell Polychromos are both oil-based pencils. Do they have any differences? So all colored pencils are a combination of oil and wax. They're all some and clay and some other things. It's a matter of like, this one has more oil versus wax, this one has more wax versus oil, and you'll have their own companies. Like there was one time Faber-Castell responded to somebody. And so this is why it's funny when people are like, well, I contacted the company and they told me this. Yeah, they don't know what they're talking about usually when you contact these people. Like not the company itself, but the people they have respond. Like Faber-Castell, they had this might have been a couple of years ago. Somebody contacted them about their pencils being oil-based or whatever. And the guy responded, I don't know where you got that information. They're wax-based. We got that information from your website. Still on your website, by the way. Like, there's just so, whoever they have answering emails is not always knowing the things. So it's kind of funny. I just hit my camera again. Nope, we're still centered. We're good. So yeah, it's a little bit weird there, but as far as, so just keep that in mind when people are like, this one's oil, this is wax. Luminance, no, Luminance. Derwent, Lightfast, they say that they're oil-based. So they lean more towards oil. To me, they feel right in the middle of oil and wax. Like they feel like the best combination of both. I love them. I'm glad they don't feel like they're as high of oil content as Polychromos do, because I don't need another Polychromos. I already have Polychromos. Make me something new, something different, which is perfect. I love them for that. But with the Luminance, while yes, they're both listed as oil, the Luminance to me, or not Luminance, the Lightfast to me, they blend a little bit smoother. They lay down very fast, and God, they blend amazingly well. So, you know, there's that. But then you go back to the Polychromos. Polychromos has more colors. Lightfast has a few purples that the other one doesn't. You know, there's, I could go on forever pointing out the differences, but that kind of sums it up, I think. What are we? Oop, go back up. Let's see. Desiree said, try Lady Grey, not Earl Grey tea by Twinings. It's awesome. Is it caffeine free? I'll have to look into that. Skylar said, sorry, I forgot the hashtag. A while ago, you were using a blue pencil in an area where there's a highlight. I was wondering, why did you use blue instead of white? We talked about this before. White is not usually the highlight you want to jump to. It's not usually white when we see highlights. And if I were to do that on that, I would have just gotten pink, which is not what I wanted. So, and while I will do some white highlights for real white areas, blue is usually going to look better for you in most cases. So that's what I talked about that a bit at the beginning of the live stream, that we tend to want to jump into white for the highlights of everything. And it's just not, it's not always the answer. It's not usually the answer. If I were to do white on red, it's going to come out pink. Not going to give me the look I want. So same thing like black. I'm usually going to use blue and purples as my highlights on black too. I'm not going to jump to white, which would make it look gray, which makes it look old or aged if I'm doing like people hair or animal hair. So yeah, we have a tendency to think a color is not what it is. One of the things that you can do if you do struggle with that, I don't have it linked here. Just do a Google or a search on YouTube, Lachri and color matching tool. I've got one that shows you how to do it with a mobile device and one that will show you with Photoshop, where you can use an eyedropper tool to see what color something is. But while you don't need colors to be exact, it's kind of nice to show you like, wow, I thought that would be white and it isn't. So it's really helpful for that. Lennon said, what do you think is the best oil-based colored pencil in terms of performance, Polychromos or Lightfast? I can't say one's better than the other. I like them both for different reasons. If I'm going to do a lot of like smooth blending, I'm going to go for my Lightfast. If I'm going to do a lot of teeny tiny detail, I like my Polychromos. So they both have their benefits. I can't tell you one's better than the other. And I know that's not the answer people want. I just can't. I love them both. Toby said, I just discovered that magenta and green Polychromos on the 12 set of discovered that magenta and green Polychromos on the 12 set Polychromos. I don't think I'm reading that right. Let's see. Art of Kyan said, I just wanted to say how much I love your turtle piece. It's stunning. Thank you. I don't know if you can see it. It's behind me. You can't really tell on the camera. It's hanging right now on my art storage dresser thing over there. Toby said it makes the best. Oh, I didn't finish reading it. That's what it was. It makes the best dark black color. Yes, magenta and green. So the reason that that's working for you is you're kind of close to getting into complementary colors, and they're going to neutralize each other, just come up with this beautiful dark. Yes, that works well. Leah said, enjoying the live stream. Apparently I've been using the OMS way too soon. I have a set of Lyra Rembrandt and Derwent drawing, going to have to give them another go. Yeah, you want to get a lot of pigment on there before you blend. If you don't have enough on there when you blend, it's just not going to do much for you. Let's go to a lighter. This one is alizarin crimson. I don't know. I can't say words. And the sharper your pencil is when you're working on a hot press watercolor paper, the more that pencil is going to get the pigment into the tooth of the paper, which gives you a smoother look. So this pencil, super sharp. Like this thing could be used as a weapon right now. I am safe from home invaders. I'm just kidding. I wouldn't know how to actually use it as a weapon. I'd be more likely to fall in it and hurt myself. Okay, we need to start getting some blotches in here, so we'll just use this to start doing that too. Although I have a feeling I'm going to go back over it once I blend this out. Let's go ahead and start getting some of these deeper shadows. This one is violet. Where's my Nightshade? That's purple. I should have, nope, hold on. I'm missing a color. Was it Nightshade that I wanted so much? I think it is, and it might have gotten put somewhere else. Yeah, that's not in there. Let's see, I might have it in my, I probably put it in the wrong spot, but I think it would work really well for this. Violet. There we go. There's one of them. I'm apparently missing one of them though. Nightshade is one of my must-haves in the Derwent Lightfast set. Oh my gosh, this pencil is wonderful. So I'm going to use this to start coming in on my really dark areas. And like I said, you may be tempted to jump into black for the darks. And it's not that I'm opposed to using black. I know a lot of artists don't like using black ever. I use black all the time. Don't jump to it as your first thing. That, like, it's not always the go-to for every shadow. If you can use purples and dark blues, you know, depending on what you're working on, that's going to generally give you a much more natural, much more depth in your work. There's a dove trying to get into that little bird feeder again. They are greedy. I gave them a lot of food today too. Notice that I'm not just filling this in everywhere. There's just a few areas. Now, one of the reasons that this guy is going to look super shiny is because of the high contrast between my lights and darks. So you really want to watch that. This would be better if I could turn it sideways. My hand doesn't want to work for that kind of a curve at this angle, but it's not super easy because of the surface I'm working on to turn that. I'm going to start laying these shadows in there too, and I'm going to use the Nightshade for that. I'm not going to, technically black would work, but I think I want to go with a purple. So notice I'm not just going to leave this straight line going down. I'm going to pull this out into this cherry. So I've got a good way to separate these two. So one of the ways that you're going to separate your subjects, it's easy to think, I'll just outline the one and you can tell it's different. Don't outline things. Cartoons have outlines. Realistic things don't. But what I can do is create more of a shadow on the one behind it, right? Like, so I've got a harsh edge here and then pull that shadow. I'm going to push this guy back and it really separates those two nicely. Pull this shadow out just a bit here. I'm going to let that shadow fade right in the center here into that cherry. There's not going to be any real separation between the two. You will see along the outer edges though. And a little bit here. Now this guy has a pretty elaborate shadow. If I wanted to make this look realistic, I would airbrush it. You can do it with the You know, there's a shadow, a really faint one that comes here, a faint one that moves back there. You can do that if you want. I'm not going to spend the time on that today. I'm going to switch to blue and I'm going to blend this. That same blue I used here. This is, what was that? The light cobalt teal? No, light cobalt blue, sorry. I'm going to use that to blend my edges out. I'm going to pull that a little bit into the white, just kind of creating that shadow there. Let that fade out. Again, there's a shadow that comes very faint through here. You're welcome to do it. I'm not going to do it on this. We don't have time to make that look good. I'm going to take white now, just for the edge. And I need to make sure that white is clean because that has red all over it. And I'm going to use that by burnishing and soften out that edge. And I'm using my Derwent Drawing Chinese white. Soften that out. Okay, so we're gonna just keep that super simple there. Back now to the shading here. We'll get some questions. Oh, you just jumped on me. Oh, you jumped far on me. Hold on, scrolling up. Carla said, since I have been drawing with colored pencil, I have most of the kinds offered. They have wonderful qualities as you get... as you use them, you get used to what each one can do. And that is such a good point. So a lot of people are like, well, I don't know which, that broke. That's not even the pencil I was using. I don't know which color to use. I don't know which brand to use. Draw more. That right there tells me you need to spend some more time drawing. The more you draw, you're just going to experiment with them. Nobody told me which one to use for what. I did it because I just grabbed the pencils and started using them, and you figure out from experimenting which one you like for different effects. There's not really one right or wrong answer. You're going to figure out what works best for you. Got that orange, and then I'm going to put red on top of it where it just has this little bit of a glow. See, and that would be an area you might think, oh, it's this light, like glowy look. I'll put white. No, white is going to dull it. You know, white is not your go-to for highlights. Dotes McGee said, what sharpener do you use? Right now, I'm using a cheapy little metal one. Usually it's the Coom sharpener, but I don't know where I got this one. It's just sitting here, so I've been using that. And then I started using this one too. This is, what does it say? M&R, made in Germany. I don't know. It's this big kind of... I grabbed that one too. I don't know, they're sitting here. Usually the Coom, the little handheld metal sharpeners have been my go-to lately. I want a super sharp point. Ow. I really like, do I have it over here? My Coom long pointed sharpener, which I don't know where it is right now. Huh. I lost it. But that one's really good too when you want a really sharp point. For like Polychromos is the only one I really use that for. Angel said, I just experienced sleep paralysis and it's really life-changing in a bad way, so no more caffeine for me. Oh, so, okay, I used to have a real problem. Sleep paralysis and night terrors were like, since I was a kid, this has been an ongoing thing. So I was reading some things. This is not medical advice, by the way, but I was reading some things, and one of the things it was saying is if you're too hot when you're sleeping. So we started dropping the air conditioner really, like in this house, 68 is low enough, but like in the apartment, it was 66 because it didn't keep the air in real well. But we dropped it to where it was really cold at night. I have not had a sleep terror or sleep paralysis. I can't even remember the last time I had it. It is incredible. That seems to be the thing, and I have suffered from this for, since I can remember as a kid. So it's kind of incredible. You might, if that's an option for you, getting too hot when you sleep. And it makes sense because my sleep paralysis, night terrors would happen mostly at night, but I take naps in the day, and that's when I would get the sleep paralysis. And it was always hotter at the time because I never dropped the air conditioner, low when I napped. And I would sit and bake myself under a blanket because I like to be under blankets no matter how hot I am. So yeah, that kind of, I don't know if that'll help you, but you can try it. Caffeine never made a difference for me because I did, believe it or not, go caffeine free for like 9 months back One of my doctors suggested it because my adrenaline issues. So I tried it. I didn't feel any better. And I was finally like, this sucks. I like having tea when I go out to eat at restaurants and stuff. So I went back to having tea. But it never made a difference for me with caffeine. But yeah, the temperatures when I'm sleeping made a huge deal for me. Like that, like I said, I haven't had it I can't even remember the last time I had one since we started doing that years ago, which is crazy. So, you could try that too. Toby said, does the Albrecht Dürer feel the same as Polychromos? Not at all, because the Albrecht Dürer, those are watercolor pencils. This is colored pencil. This is wax and oil based, water based, so completely different. Bellyache said, hi Lisa, is there a version of Nightshade in the Polychromos? Not quite the same. No, nothing that's comparable enough. Or if you're working with color or with Polychromos though, let's see, what could you go with? You could probably mix black and Delft blue is kind of a dark purple, but you'd probably have to mix that, or mix that in red might do it for you. But you're gonna have to mix to get that dark. Yeah, mauve might. None of them are quite as dark. So I would do that and mix either red or black in with it to kind of get it that dark. Unfortunately, they don't, but yeah, let's see. Phyllis said, don't worry about home invasion. You have your protector right behind you, and I'm sure he'll jump to your defense. Well, maybe not. He looks like he's too comfortable. No, he would hurt me trying to run away. We had that earlier. Wade got spooked. He hurt my toe bad. He got spooked. I don't even know, whatever he got spooked about, he ran over my foot trying to get away, and I'm just like, oh my God, that hurt bad. Yeah, no, they're useless. I would get hurt. Shelly said, I chuckled at your comments about the birds being greedy with the food. I shout out to our birds all the time. Stop fighting over the food. There's plenty. Yeah, they ate all. I have a normal, like a feeder that has like the mesh at the bottom, so if it rains, it doesn't, mold or whatever, or sit in that. I have that one, and the doves eat out of that. The doves, the mockingbirds, the bigger birds will eat out of that. And then I've got the little ones that only, the house finches and the little sparrows will eat out of. But the doves eat all theirs and then are like, we want the little bird food too. We're still hungry. Pigs. And there's food all over right now because I cleaned out the feeders. Like I dumped it just to put fresh food in. So there's like food all over the floor. They're just being pigs. Let's see. Julie said, only if he thinks the guy's keeping him from dinner or a walk. Yes, that would be the only way Gibson and even Gibson for dinner. So Roomba, the vacuum cleaner, was going earlier, and Gibson has decided recently, and he was fine with it at first. He just recently decided he thinks Roomba is the devil, and he wouldn't eat because Roomba was running. I had to go, and Roomba wasn't that close to him, but he was like, I can't do it. I'm too nervous. So yeah, I called him a princess and turned Roomba off. George said, I like Polychromos even though I do mainly portraits. Eventually I will try the wax to see how they blend. A favorite tea, decaf Earl Grey, but it has a strong taste some won't like. This one that I'm drinking now, this is that peach, whatever. It's like a spicy peach. My husband didn't like it at all. Some would, yeah, this is an odd taste too. More for me, works for me. Let's see. Toby said, have you tried drawing your betta fish? How do you take care of them? I would love to see them be drawn. I've done an oil painting of my betta. So back before he started eating all his fins, he ate most of them. So now he looks like a half moon placotte. He's a little goofy looking now. And I actually just got 2 new snails for the tank because I have little mystery snail. I had one mystery snail, and he's huge, but they only live about a year, and I've had him for a year and a half, and I don't know how old he was when he got him. So I'm like, he's not gonna, I don't think he'll be with me that much longer. So the Aqua Studios Aquarium, which is the fish store I go to, if you are in the Dallas area, Aqua Studios Aquarium, amazing. Go there, check them out. But they have fresh and salt, and that's where I went, and they posted on Facebook. They had a bunch of the golden mystery snails. Like mine came in, so I went and got one and ended up with 2. So now I have 3. But one escaped. One of the first nights he was in there, decided he was going to go looking for food, I guess, and my husband found him on the kitchen floor, put him back in the tank, and they're all fine now. I think the big one was trying to make babies with the little ones. He apparently has been lonely in there all by himself all these, the last year and a half. No one cares. Too much information. Let's see. Hold on. Scrolling up. I missed a bunch. this just jumped. Here we go. Missy said, I know you've been super busy doing all of these lessons. Are you caught up with the Patreon postcards? I am not at all. I have the cat. I need to send those. I'm going to work on them hopefully this week. And then I'm going to order today I've been waiting for a sale. Sale's not coming. Screw it. I'll just pay full price. All right, it's like 25% off. It's not a good sale. But I need to order a bunch of the other postcards. The sea turtle is going to be, that'll be the probably August. So that'll go out in a September card. I'm going to go buy a bunch of postcards today. So yeah, that is coming. I am always behind on those. So I'll let you guys know when I send them, so you know to start, looking out for them. And if you don't get yours at that point, you would know, let me know so I can get a replacement out to you. But yeah, I'm bad. God, I need an assistant. Let's see. Christine said, can I use brush and pencil texture fixative and OMS on the same piece? Brush and pencil. Yes. You've inspired me to give colored pencil a go, but I'm a little intimidated by them. Yeah, you absolutely, brush and pencil, well, let's see if I read brush and pencil texture fixative. I don't use just texture fixative. I always use it along with touch-up texture. So I mix the two to get the white highlights. And yeah, you can use that with OMS, no problem. But like powder blender, yes, you can, but it gets a little complicated. Wait until you've done a few powder blenders without OMS first, I would say. Because there's something, I've got videos talking about it, like and I'm not using it now, so it's not something I can easily show you, but you have to be careful. Wade, stop scratching in your sleep. Wade, wake up. Wake up. Wade! Hold on. There he goes. He's making a raw spot on we're giving him vitamins, a different type of vitamin to see if it'll help him with his itchiness. He's definitely, I think it's grass allergies. He was laying out there earlier and he's scratching more. But anyway, he's hurting his skin. Hurting himself there. But let's see. And as you can see with sighthounds, you can yell at them. No reaction. Hold on. Wait, stop. Come here. Wake up. No scratching. He's awake. He's just ignoring me. So sighthounds have selective hearing. And when they want to ignore you, you didn't talk as far as they're concerned. Rotten dogs. Let's see. Marika said, when printing postcards, do you put your web address or watermark signature on them? I'm thinking of getting the original signature, might get cropped up. I don't on the front, because sometimes my signature does get cropped up, but the back always has my website and the copyright information on it. Toby said, how do you frame your colored pencil artworks? Do you spray fixative after drawing? If I use if I use powder blender or pan pastels, I use a fixative. I either use final fixative with powder blender, or if I've used pan pastels, I use the Spectrafix. If I'm like this, I don't spray. This just goes behind glass. It would be framed, goes behind glass. This doesn't need to be sprayed with anything. So see, I just keep building. Where are my shadows? Where are my highlights? Just go back and forth until you get it to look how you want. And it does not have to look exactly like your reference photo. Your reference photo is a guideline. You can adjust yours as needed to make, like mine here, way darker than the reference photo. I like how it looks. One of the fun things you get to do with as an artist is make adjustments for how you think something would look better. It's your artwork. Pull that shadow down a little bit more. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and blend this with odorless mineral spirits. Now this time I have enough pigment on the paper. I've already blended once. I'm going to use far less OMS on the brush than I did the first time. If I use too much, I'll start lifting pigment off the paper instead of just blending what's there. So what I will do, I'll dip the brush in the odorless mineral spirits, and then I'm going to dab it off a lot on a paper towel, and I'm going to let it set for a second. I'm going to get this ready. So I dabbed it, dry it off on a paper towel. I'm going to wait a minute, and I'm going to answer some questions while we let this set for just a second. Let's see. Don't jump. Jason said, I remember what I meant from Wednesday. I meant Larry, Curly, and Mo. You are not naming the frogs. Let's see. Angel said, I don't want to sage my room to disperse. I have no idea what you're talking about, Angel. I'm sorry. Kosher Artworks said, do you have plans on doing any critique episodes again? I do. I'll do the big where I critique many at once. I don't know when it's going to be, but I will definitely be doing it again. Nina said, what price range can I put on a realistic drawing since I just started selling my artwork? There is no way for me to tell you that. Because do you have a following? Do you have a demand for the artwork? You know, somebody who's been advanced, but no one knows who they are because they never sold their stuff before or weren't on social media, they're not going to be able to sell for as high as somebody who may be newer to art but has a following and so then have a demand for the artwork. There's no way for me to tell you how much you would charge for it. What I recommend, go look. You can look on eBay. You can look on Etsy. What are other people charging for something similar to yours? And how many sales do they have? Like if they have a lot of sales, they've got more experience, you know, they've got a bit of a following. They're going to sell for a bit more than yours. I always recommend go a little bit lower and slowly raise your price as the demand arises. If you start like, oh, I think my work's worth $500, and you actually end up not being able to sell anything for more than $50 because we always want to think our work is more valuable than buyers might. You don't want to drop the price. You want to always slowly raise. Now, at the same time, you don't want to sell for too little. I see people selling work they spent a week on for $25. I'm like, you'd make more working at McDonald's. Why would you? No, just no. That doesn't make sense. So, you know, I'm not saying to go super low, but you're also not probably, if you're new or you probably don't have a following, you're probably not going to be demanding thousands of dollars. I can't give you a price though. And I know that's not the answer you want, but that's just, art is weird. Art is not something I can go, oh, this is how much you should sell it for. It depends on so many factors that I just don't know about you, you know? Let's see. Eliza said, I just sold my first commission. I'm so excited. Congratulations. That's awesome. Do you recommend smooth Bristol paper? Does it have enough tooth? I don't like it. I'm not a fan of it. I bought a bunch of it. Not a fan. I mean, some people love it. I don't know many who love it, but yeah, not personally a fan. Desiree said, what do you use to seal the colored pencil when you're finished? With this, nothing at all. It would be framed behind glass, and that's all the protection that this would need. If you're using Prismacolor, Prismacolor made, I don't know if they still do, they made a spray that you could do because Prismacolor has an issue with wax bloom that other colored pencils don't. So Prismacolor would require that, the spray that would prevent it, and Prismacolor made one for it. But in this case, like, that's not a problem with these pencils. So no, this doesn't get sprayed with anything. Sometimes the spray can cause more damage. So you have to, if you are going to spray with something, test it on a sample, like a scratch piece of paper, the same type of paper that you're using, the same type of pencil you're using, have a scratch of that or scrap a piece of that and spray that and see what happens, because sometimes certain sprays will not behave nicely with the certain pencils and you'll get some like weird bad results. So you want to test that first if you do decide to, but this, I don't spray with anything. Leah said, Vistaprint doesn't have a sell just on call them and tell them you missed the sale, and more often than not they give you a code for a discount. Oh, I will have to look into that. Thank you. Gail said, I had I don't know how to say that, and night terrors too, but without paralysis. Instead I started flaying my arms and leap out of bed screaming. I have it under control now, thank God. 72. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I would do that. I would run out of the room, like I would wake up in such a panic, and all I knew was that something was in there and I had to get out as fast as possible, and I would wake up running. And so I got to where now, like as an adult, I realized when I was younger, I would sleep in like just underwear and a t-shirt, and I ran out when I was a teenager at the time. My sister and her boyfriend were there, home watching TV, and I had gone to bed early. And I come running out in my underwear and a t-shirt in front of them. And I'm like, yeah, I need to start wearing sweats to bed because that's embarrassing. And now I sleep in like sweatpants because I'm like, I don't need to be going running outside in my, yeah. So that was fun. But yeah, it's, yeah, I'm glad yours is under control too. That is not fun. Let's see. Laura said, do you know if the Winsor & Newton Sans odor works like the odorless mineral space? I don't know anything about that product. I'd have to look into it. I don't know. I'm sorry. David said, how many times would you usually blend with thinners? Is there a limitation? There is no limitation. Normally when I do something, I'm going to blend, I'll put like 5 layers of pencil, I'll blend out. Another 5 layers of pencil, blend out. And I'll end up with a total of maybe 20 layers of pencil. So I probably blended maybe 4 or 5 times. It depends. It depends on what area I'm working on. I may blend a certain area a lot more than other areas. So like even here, I'm going to go on and do some highlights, but the blending probably is done with the OMS. But it really depends on what it is I'm working on. But that's generally my thing, like maybe 20 layers of pencil, 4 or 5 layers of blending if I had to like average it out. Carla said, and the only limitation, going back to that you would have is if you damage the tooth of your paper where it just wasn't taking any more pencil. But like as far as blending it, there's no limit. Carla said, I have a question about the Finesse colored pencil blender. Is it archival? It works okay, but I don't want to sell a piece of work if it isn't archival. What is the Finesse one? Is that what is Luminance has one? I don't remember the names because I don't use any of them. There's no color, so it should be archival. If it's the colorless blender you're talking about, I don't have any in here. Oh, what is this? Does it say? Oh, that's just the full blender bright. I don't know what you're talking about then. I'm sorry. I'm not familiar with that product, so I'm not sure what it is. I was thinking it might be that one, but I just looked at the name and that is not it. Let's see. Toby said, what is your favorite color and what is the color you mostly use in your artworks? I bet everybody probably just answered you before I got to this. Yep, sure enough. Teal. Teal is my favorite color. Like everything in my house is teal. People walk in, they're like, wow, you really like teal. Yes, I do. That's about it. Okay, so let's go ahead. I'm going to do some highlights. I'm going to first do some highlights with the, let's see, I've got some more with the blue, that light blue I was using. I'm going to do a little bit with white, and then we're going to use the touch-up texture titanium white, and that will really make our bright stand out even more. Where is, here we go. And where did that blue go? I've got a mess going on over here now. Oh, I really did lose the blue. Oh, here it is. So I'm gonna just go a little bit over, define that a bit more where I did those highlights. You just look at your reference photo. Where do you see lights and where do you see darks? Doesn't have to be exact. Go for close. When you're doing portraits, it needs to be exact. On a cherry, no, close is good enough. This is a fun, relaxing project because there's not a whole lot of pressure for everything to be perfect. I love this blue on here. What a difference that makes. Okay, let's take some white. Now, this isn't quite that bright. I'm going to come back through, tone that down a bit. This I probably don't need the touch-up texture titanium white mixture. This is okay, so if you don't have it, don't worry about it. But I am still going to use it just so I can show you guys how that works. If you hit a point where you're like, oh, mine isn't as orange, but I like it better because it's not, or mine has more orange and I like it better because it doesn't matter. If you like it better, you don't have to be the exact same as your reference photo. If you do something and it's different and it looks good, that's awesome. Let it be different. That's okay. So now I'm getting to a stage where I'm doing what we're calling burnishing, where I'm pushing a bit harder with the pencil. I'm not going to blend out again with the odorless mineral spirits, so I don't, and I'm on these final layers where if I damage the tooth of the paper and I flatten it out and I can't get more layers, don't care, I'm not putting many, I'm about done anyway. So it's okay. So burnishing is a way to blend. I just don't recommend doing it at the very beginning of your piece. Once I get in here towards the end, I can start putting a bit more pressure. Lots of color shows up. Okay, let's go ahead and do that touch-up texture titanium white mixture. Where did I put it? So this is your touch-up texture. Now this stuff you can put on, let's say I got to an area where I did flatten the tooth out and I can't get detail. I could put a little bit of this on. When it dries, it gives it a bit more tooth and I can put the pencil back over it. But what I don't really use it that way myself. I could, but I don't need to. What I use it for is what I'm going to show you right now. Now this, I'm shaking it up, but I've already, like you should shake it for several minutes. I shook mine up before we started, so I didn't have to sit here for 5 minutes shaking it really well. There's going to be a residue. You can kind of, I don't know if you can see that. There's a little bit right there. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a white residue in there. You want to shake this until that residue is completely mixed back up into the product. And now into the goo. I use technical terms. So what we're going to do, I'm going to take, I've just used this condiment lid and I use it over and over and over again. Take a little bit. I did grab touch-up texture. Titanium white and the touch-up texture, the bottles look, or the containers look the same, or sorry, words. Colored pencil, titanium white, which is this, and powder blender, the containers look the same, and I have accidentally grabbed powder blender. It doesn't work. It doesn't mix in with this. I don't recommend it. So make sure you grab the right one if you've got the full set like I do. I'm going to just put a little bit. That's probably more. I don't know if you can see that. It's more than what I needed, honestly. Tiny bit. And I'm going to put a couple drops of this. And this is like just a nail polish bottle. I don't need that because I'm not actually painting it on the piece. I'm just going to put a couple drops into that. Obviously, I can't count because I don't know what a couple is. That is not a couple, but a little bit more. And it's about half and half. If you put too much of the liquid, it will get too translucent. It doesn't hurt anything. It's just not going to be as opaque. And I'm going to take a liner brush. This is a synthetic hog hair liner brush, and I'm just going to use that, stir these together. So I've got this little, it's like paint. I used a bit too much. Yeah, I definitely used too much touch-up texture. Mine's a little bit thin. Oh wait, I've got more down here. I can mix it in. And you'll get chunks in here where it doesn't blend out super smooth. It's fine. Doesn't matter. If I get a chunk on there, I just pick it off with my fingernail. And now you can put in a few little highlights that are going to be way lighter than what I could get with a paintbrush. So this, or not with a paintbrush, with the pencil. So this is great if you're doing whiskers or little bits of fur highlights on the white of the eye, if you lost that in your colored pencil. This product will allow you to do that. And the cool thing is, so a lot of people say, well, just use gel pen or just use white acrylic paint. That won't work. We talked earlier about the importance of keeping your work archival. That is not archival. Gel pen, not archival. White acrylic paint, not archival, because you're putting a water-based product on top of a wax and oil-based product. Won't work. This is made for colored pencil. No, I'm not sponsored. I just love this product, and I'm kind of, passionate about the whole archival thing. This stuff this is archival. It will stay. It's not going to come off over time. You can do this on work that you're selling. It's amazing. And the really cool thing is, let's say I went too bright, or let's say for some reason I wanted a yellow polka dot on there. If I take a yellow pencil, it's just going to lighten. You'll see a dot, but it's going to lighten that. It's going to mix in with what's there. What I could do with this, put a polka dot or a white dot with this, then when it dries, put yellow on top and it'll be bright yellow. This stuff is an absolute must-have for me when it comes to colored pencil now. Like, I wouldn't want to work without it. Can you work without it? Yeah, of course. Do I want to? Nope. I love this stuff. Okay. And that's it. And then, hold on, I did not have a water thing. I need to rinse this before I dry my brush out. And this, you don't rinse this in your odorless mineral spirits. You may be tempted to. They don't play well. Rinse it in water. Give me 1 second to rinse this off before I ruin the brush. Be comfy, Gibson. Okay. Now I'm just going to sit and fuss over little things. Like, I think I could get some more highlights a little bit here and there. Now, this stuff, if you're going to work over it, like put pencil back on top, let it dry completely. And by completely, I mean like 20 minutes, let it really dry. If you don't, it'll start to kind of flake or chip off. If it starts to do that, you know you didn't let it dry long enough. Put it back on and then let it dry longer. So I'm just working around in different, other areas of the piece. Just looking at things, I'm like, I think it'd look better on mine if I changed a little here or added a highlight here. We've got a lot of questions. I guess I should get caught up on some of these. Let's see. Hold on 1 second. I'm way behind, apparently. There we go. Jason said, Lisa, what type of titanium white paint are you using? I am not. This is not titanium white paint. Let's see. When you buy extra pencils of the same color, do you store the pencil altogether, or do you keep them apart and take them when you need them? So I don't think you can see it. I store mine. I've got these little mason jars and I use them as display because I think they're pretty in the studio, but that's where all my extras are. They're in mason jars, like lined up on a wall, that because I do have some colors that I have a whole bunch of extra because I go through them pretty quickly. I store them there, and then I just have usually one of each color in my box. Occasionally I'll have two because I couldn't find one and I threw another one in there, but usually the extras are stored somewhere else. Carla said, I looked up the Finesse Speedball colored pencil blender and it's archival, sold at Cherries, Cheap Joe's, Joann's, etc. It's fun. Nice. I never heard of it before. Michelle said, just want to say thank you for doing these draw along videos. I'm learning so much about using colored pencils. Yay! Lexi said, my children's sleepwalk last summer was entertaining. We were staying at a hotel after a day at the zoo. Emily said, did my first serious colored pencil artwork recently. Wanted to give up at times, but when I finish, people keep mistaking for a framed photo. Nice. Isn't it a good feeling? Emily said, never would have had used colored pencil or gotten so great without your videos. Oh, thank you. That's so good to hear. Let's see. Whoops, there we go. Emily said, so sad I can't get that white pigment and stuff in South Africa. Oh no, one day I'll get my hands on it. Yeah, that sucks. And the way that you're going to do instead then is preserve the white of your paper. A little bit more work, but it can be done. I mean, I worked in colored pencil for years without it. It absolutely can be done. Plenty of people don't use it, but if you've got it, oh, does it make life easier? Veek said, last time I checked, you can't get powder blender and titanium touch-up picture in Canada because of security risks in shipping liquids and powder from the States. Interesting. I mean, I know that powder blender products are sold in Canada from Delta Art has it. I don't know with this stuff though. I haven't looked into that. Jason said, where can you order the highlight white? So this, if you're in the United States, you can go to brushandpencil.com, and this is a combination. I'm mixing, again, two different products. Let me show you again. It's linked, actually it's linked in the description. Just go there. But it's two different products. It is the colored pencil titanium white mixed with colored pencil touch-up texture. Why can I not talk? These are amazing, amazing, but that's what that is. Link is in the description. Angel said, can I use Reeves Gesso? Not if you want it to be archival. Where were we? Whoop, it keeps jumping right when I get to where we were. Sorry. Here we go. Gail said, this looks 3D. Excellent stream as always. Have a great weekend. Thanks, Gail. Desiree said, Lisa, I'm sorry I missed what white highlight you used. Would you please say again? So I think I already got that by the time you had asked that. But again, these are, and it's linked in the video description. It should be. Colored pencil titanium white mixed with colored pencil touch-up texture. These are from brushandpencil.com. If you're outside of the States, I don't have the links right now. You can contact Brush and Pencil. They'll tell you where you can get them if you're outside of the States. I know they can be there in the UK from, crap, I can't remember now. The UK, Canada, and Australia all have them now. I don't know where else. Let's see. Does Brush and Pencil ship to the UK? Straight from Brush and Pencil, no, but they sell Jackson's Art. Jackson Art carries it. That's who it is. So you can go to Jackson's Art Jackson's Art, something like that. You guys have it from there, but he's the seller there. Casey said, dang it, missed the whole thing. I was making bread. I have never made bread. That is interesting. Okay, so on this one, we can still sign it. I'm going to go with a fairly light color. I think I'm just going to use my, nah, that might be too light. Let's use a light purple. There you go. I mean, you can sign it wherever you want. I would probably frame it in something like that. So that works. Yeah, that is it. And when you're trying to figure out where you want to sign things, one of the things you can do, you can take my pencil, like that would have been a good place. A small signature there would have looked good. Here would look terrible. Here would kind of draw attention weird over here. You know, play around with that. You may want to go, that's kind of dark. I probably would go lighter. Actually, I can make it lighter though. Go right over it with a light pencil. Or a white. That kind of looks neat. Anyway, there you go. That is it for this stream. I've got, we're early. I normally don't finish this early. If you have any questions, we can get caught up on those. Yeah, Dick Blick also carries these in the US. Oh, good. Nick's got some. Everyone's got the links for you guys for these products. They are amazing. I love Powder Blender. I love all of the brush and pencil products. I love Luxe Archival, but if like there's one thing that they make that I can't live without, okay, I guess it's two things. It's these two mixed together. Like these are my precious. They're like, I don't like, how did I do colored pencil before that? It just, whiskers or like there's so many things that I struggled with getting white highlights that I don't now. Like that just, it solved so many of my problems. I love it. Angel said, I really love how you go back and forth. The patience is phenomenal. Thanks. Desiree said, yes, it's Jackson's art. Thank you. Okay, good. Yeah, I remembered it. One of the things I want to point out too, as I'm looking at this on the screen, the things that I like better about this than the original, I like that high contrast. Now it's going to be personal. Like you may not like it as much. You may want to darken yours up. I love on pieces where you have a really high contrast with your lights and darks. So I'm typically going to play that up even more than whatever my reference photo was. I just love the look, and that can come down to being, excuse me, more stylized as well, that you just, the more you paint and draw, you realize, oh, I like it better if I change this or that. That comes just from practicing and trying different things. Dote said, thank you. Always enjoy watching. Thanks for joining. Leah said, thanks for another great live stream. Have a wonderful weekend. Thank you. My weekends aren't that exciting. Saturdays are clean the house day. Definitely not that exciting. Then I work tonight and tomorrow night. So, my weekends I don't really have weekends, I don't think. Oh, knocking stuff over. Phyllis said, have a great weekend, everyone. Thanks for joining, Phyllis. And make sure, check out our moderator channels. Tell them thank you. They help so much. They keep all of the things that would be happening in chat that none of us want to deal with. They take care of all that stuff. Their channels are listed in the video description. They've both got art channels here. They're awesome. Nick and Joseph, definitely tell them thank you. Seriously, they help so much. And check out their channels. Definitely subscribe to them. Angel said, are you going to watch Umbrella Academy Season 2? Oh my God, so excited. That's one of the only things upcoming that I'm looked at, and whenever The Witcher comes back. Like, those are the two things in my life that I'm like, I'm so excited for those two things to come out. So yes, I absolutely am. I'm going to have to figure out how to make time to watch that because, I'm excited. Let's see. Annette said, have you ever used Duralar matte paper? I have not. Toby said, thank you so much for responding to my questions. I'm learning and improving so much from you. Oh, that's awesome to hear. Thanks for joining. I'm not going to say this right. Josian? That is a cool name. However it is said. Love your work. Thank you. Thanks for joining. Sorry I butchered your name. I butcher most words though, so you can't take it too hard. I like dog groomer in St. Louis. I like your username. Let's see. And again, thank you guys so much. Nick's also excited for Umbrella Academy Season 2. Joseph says, I have cats. Every day is clean the house day. Yeah, I can't have cats because I have plants. And I have greyhounds who would eat the cats. So, that's also a bit of an issue. Let's see. Yeah, I think we're about done. We've got 4 minutes. I think I'm caught up on everything. Again, thank you guys so much for joining. So next Wednesday is going to be, we're going to start that hummingbird, a realistic hummingbird in acrylics. Friday is going to be a jellyfish in pigment markers. Hopefully I can find a picture of a jellyfish now that I've been announcing that one. But a jellyfish in Winsor & Newton pigment markers. And is that it? I think that's it. And then I'm not sure. I've been working hard to make sure I get new videos, like edited videos up. I had 2 this week. Normally it'll be 1. So that's coming. Yes. I think we're all caught up. I will see you guys on Wednesday. Bye.